Good morning and thanks so much for tuning into the trade setup. It's Monday morning and it promises to be a good one. Let's take stock of the markets and the global news flow. China no longer requires quarantine for arrivals, marking a full reopen of the country, and that should lead to some repercussions, and we'll come to that in a moment. Asian stocks are set to climb after the US equities had their best day in more than a month. Friday was very strong for the US markets. Remember, Friday itself, the SGX Nifty was showing some uptick, so we know that even our markets will have a good start today. Apple begins hiring retail store employees in India, according to FT, and this marks yet another global giant making a full tilt towards India on their own. These were anyways planned, not necessarily led to manufacturing, but anyways in the offing from Apple's side. And even these have some investment repercussions, and we'll probably try to get to that as well. But first, the mother market, US market, did really well in Friday's session. 2.5% for the Nasdaq, the S&P about 2.28%. So can't complain really. The other key indicators would come up on your screen next, and the CBOE VIX or the dollar index. 103.45 for the dollar index has come off a little bit. The 10-year yield is down 31 basis points at 3.56 as well, and I think volatility came off as well. Even in India, the last 2 days volatility has been okay. The SGX Nifty should be indicating a good start. I really doubt too much would have changed in between what the sentiment was on Friday and what the sentiment would be this morning. So we'll have a positive start for sure. Let's wait and watch what happens. The trade setup, therefore, for the day. Um, you know, last week, viewers, if you remember, I was talking about this both on Thursday and Friday, that quant indicators are anyways indicating buying opportunities last week, and upsides today, to my mind, may not get necessarily sold into, but Dr. C.K. Narayan mentions that recoveries, if any, shall be resisted along the 18,200 or 18,300 levels. Now, somehow, just looking at the sentiment and the fundamental indicators, because there's a reopen, because the markets have been sold into, somehow I think that we may not necessarily see a sell on rise, but I think Dr. Narayan is a veteran, and therefore just keep these levels in mind as well. For the week, inflation data from India, US, and China may have a small bearing on markets, so therefore that is to be kept in mind. And metals are firmly in focus on full China reopening. Towards the end of this trade setup, we'll show you a chart from Nomura on the metal stocks. So let's just wait for that. But keep in mind, metals sentimentally would certainly be in focus today. A lot of stocks to focus on, and let me quickly cut to the chase and get to all of those. It's a long list today. So first, IDB Bank, late last evening and night, everybody's reported this, as also my colleague Vishy has spoken to people in the know. Four suitors for IDBI apparently: Emirates NBD, Sumitomo Mitsui Banking Corporation, and Prem Vatsas Fairfax are likely to have submitted the expressions of interest. Also, domestic non-bank finance companies, also one of the prospective bidders, people in the know said. And therefore, IDBI Bank remains a stock in focus this morning. Do watch out for this one. The story is there on our website in case you want to go and read it as well. So IDBI Bank, a stock firmly in focus. And while companies are trying to get into single-digit growth or otherwise, extremely strong showing by Titan as the Q3 update. The jewelry revenue grew about 11% YOY on a base of 30% in Q3 FY22, by the way. So on that stronger base, Titan's jewelry business, which is a mothership business, grew about 11%. Watch and wearables grew about 14%. Again, that business at a base of 28%. Eyewear, 10% growth, base of 25.4%. And some of the smaller, newly established verticals actually had breakneck speed of growth. So really strong showing by Titan. It is an expensive stock, and I know all of that, but I reckon that this is an update that will please some of the bulls on Titan. So it's something to be watched out for. Extremely strong showing. I'm looking forward to the conversation that we'll have with the Titan management post the quarterly numbers are out. Extremely strong showing. So do watch out for this one. Asian Paints, well, if the earlier announcements were not enough, they've announced a 2,000 crore capex to set up a new capacity of 4 lakh KLPA for water-based paints in Madhya Pradesh. The plan to increase capacity by about 23% for Asian. It'll start manufacturing in 3 years post the land acquisition. So expect this to go over 3.5 years. So the big boy is getting more serious about capacity expansion. Back to quarter three updates, a lot of them today. Tata Steel Q3 update. The India business production is up 4.2% at 5 million tons. Delivery volumes down 3.36%, and the Europe business production fell, which is to be anticipated, but the business delivery volumes rose about 4.8%. Viewers, in a quarter which will be marked by some bit of business production uptake, and falling input costs, plus China reopen sentiment, um, might be interesting to see what Tata Steel has to do today. Actually, if we can we bring that Nomura chart up right now? Or others will do it at the end of the show. But otherwise, it will just be pertinent to get it up right now. Because, yeah, thank you so much, Suchita. Suchita is our producer, and thank you so much for that. Now, look at what Nomura is trying to say. They are saying that the 12-month forward price to book and ROE, which is the x-axis and the y-axis, if you see, uh, the dotted line, of course, is the mean, the global mean. And look at what a Jindal Steel or JSPL are priced at currently versus the mean across the world. So Tata Steel and SAIL are cheap. JSPL, JSTL may be expensive, and which brings to show that there's still some upsides maybe for a SAIL or a Tata Steel, maybe not as much for JSPL, but this could be interesting because Tata Steel's updates are not that bad. There is a China reopen, and the stock is relatively not that expensive. So do watch out for Tata Steel in the session today. Then watch out for Bandhan Bank, the Q3 update. Loans and advances up about 14% and 5% QOQ. Deposits up 21%. CASA was a bit of a disappointment to my mind, I think, compared to YOY and QOQ. But the collection efficiencies looked okay. And I was reading, I think, there was this Jeffrey's note on Bandhan, which speaks about how the asset quality is showing signs of improving, and that should actually aid um, Bandhan Bank. So do watch out for this one. Really strong show put up by Bandhan on the asset quality front, and that might actually help the stock. Who knows? I was actually disappointed with the CASA ratio, but CLSA believes or Jeffries believes that this is actually a positive update. So do watch out for that one. Kalyan Jewelers consolidated revenue growth of 13%. India revenue growth of about 12%. Non-South markets grew faster for them. Gross margins improved quarter on quarter. There's a lot of talk about some monies which are stuck uh, for Kalyan Jewelers might come back, and that might also aid the stock performance. We'll get to know once we speak to the company, but this is not a bad update. So do watch out for Titan and Kalyan Jewelers. Just puts the sentiment in good reckoning. Morgan Stanley, for example, believes that Titan has had a bit of a miss. Somehow I thought the performance is okay. So let's wait and watch. National Fertilizers company clocked about 27% growth in total fertilizer sale during the April to December period as compared to the corresponding period last year. So 27% is not bad. I just wish that given the December update more clearly, but do watch out for National Fert. Lupin has received the US FDA approval for an abbreviated new drug application, Physoterodine fumarate, which is the extended release tablets to mark a generic equivalent of Toviaz. The tablet had an estimated annual sale of $177 million in the US, so do watch out for this one. Now, what we are going to do every day, viewers, for the next 5 days until I'm doing trade setup, is get you some update about the Q1 expectations from any one of the brokerages. It might just help. So for today, we have the systematics view on PVC pipe companies. They're saying that their channel checks suggest that the demand is moderated for all building material categories, but for PVC pipes. The latter, which is PVC pipes, saw a rebound in volumes due to channel restocking in December after PVC prices reversed. They also expect a fairly large QOQ recovery in PVC pipe margins as the inventory losses recede, which should normalize by quarter four once the high cost inventory gets liquidated in third quarter. So if you're looking for something that will likely do well, and actually this is not Q1 but Q3, but uh, if you're looking for something that will do well, then PVC pipes could well be it. So do watch out for that one. Lastly, viewers, just before we wrap up, do watch out for NTPC as well because of the Joshimat issues. That stock might face a bit of a stick. Thanks so much for tuning in.